October 24, 1945, Hiroshima, Japan. 3 months after the atomic bomb fell from the belly of Enola Gay, American investigators sifted through the radioactive rubble searching for answers. Among the twisted metal and concrete debris, they found something that would forever link the world's most devastating weapon to the world's most obsessively guarded bomb site. The device that guided Little Boy to its target was a Norden Mark 15 bomb site, serial number 4791. That bomb site represented the culmination of a 25-year obsession by a Dutch engineer whose dismissed theories had transformed American air power. Yet in that moment of ultimate validation lay the seeds of obsolescence. The atomic age would render precision bombing moot. Why hit a pickle barrel when you could obliterate the entire factory? The story of how one man's rejected ideas became America's most closely guarded secret doesn't begin with triumph. It begins with failure, personality conflicts, and a European intellectual who believed that Providence itself guided his mechanical genius. Carl Lucas Norden was born April 23, 1880 in Semarang, Java, the third of 5 children to a Dutch colonial family. His father, Johannes van Norden, was a naturalized Dutch citizen of German origin who worked as a government surveyor in the Dutch East Indies. When his father died in 1885, the family returned to Holland, then moved to Dresden, Germany in 1893. Young Carl displayed an unusual mechanical aptitude, viewing the entire universe as a vast clockwork mechanism governed by mathematical precision. Even as a child, Norden demonstrated the obsessive attention to detail that would define his career. He built intricate mechanical toys with moving parts precisely calibrated to his own specifications. His teachers noted his exceptional mathematical abilities, but also his stubborn refusal to accept conventional solutions to engineering problems. He insisted on deriving every formula from first principles, a habit that would later serve him well in developing revolutionary technologies. He attended Switzerland's prestigious Federal Polytechnic Institute in Zurich, where he studied mechanical engineering alongside another equally intense and disagreeable student named Vladimir Lenin. Both men possessed uncompromising personalities that would reshape their respective worlds. Lenin would revolutionize politics through ideology. Norden would revolutionize warfare through precision. Norden's professors at the Polytechnic remembered him as brilliant but difficult. He questioned established engineering practices with relentless persistence. His final thesis on gyroscopic stability demonstrated mathematical insights that impressed even his most demanding instructors. Yet his professors also noted his complete lack of interest in theoretical physics, focusing instead on practical mechanical applications. This engineering mindset would later influence his preference for mechanical solutions over emerging electronic technologies. After graduating in 1904, Norden emigrated to the United States, drawn by America's reputation as a land where engineers and inventors could prosper. His wealthy uncle, who had made a fortune in the cotton business, provided initial financial support. Norden worked initially for 2 Brooklyn manufacturers, H.R. Worthington Pump and Machine Works, then J.H. Lidgerwood Manufacturing Company, a producer of mine hoists. At Lidgerwood, he probably met Elmer Sperry, an established inventor and entrepreneur already making his mark in the emerging field of gyroscopic stabilization. These early years in American industry taught Norden valuable lessons about the relationship between theoretical knowledge and practical manufacturing. He observed how brilliant designs could fail in production due to tolerances, materials limitations, or assembly complexities. This experience reinforced his belief that successful engineering required obsessive attention to every detail of the manufacturing process. In 1911, Sperry offered Norden a position on the research and development staff of Sperry Gyroscope Company. It seemed like a perfect match. Sperry was developing gyrostabilizers for United States Navy ships, attempting to solve the ancient problem of accurate gunnery from moving platforms. Norden's mathematical precision and mechanical insight proved invaluable in transforming Sperry's embryonic gyroscope designs into reliable naval equipment. The naval gunnery problem was deceptively complex. Ships rolled and pitched in heavy seas, making accurate targeting nearly impossible. Traditional gun crews relied on experience and intuition to time their shots between wave motions. Sperry's gyro stabilizers promised to provide a stable reference platform that would remain level regardless of ship movement. But early prototypes suffered from drift, oscillation, and mechanical failures that limited their practical effectiveness. Norden's contribution was revolutionary. He developed mathematical models that predicted gyroscopic behavior under varying conditions. His calculations enabled precise compensation for drift and oscillation. Most importantly, he designed mechanical feedback systems that automatically corrected for errors without human intervention. These innovations transformed crude experimental devices into reliable military equipment. But the collaboration was doomed from the start by clashing personalities. Sperry was 20 years older, a natural promoter who believed in patenting everything and maximizing commercial potential. He viewed engineering as a business enterprise where success was measured by profits and market share. Norden was methodical, religious, and intensely private. He smoked what Sperry called those vile black cigars during long evening work sessions. Most importantly, he viewed himself as a designer, not an inventor, believing that only Providence could truly invent. The philosophical differences ran deeper than personality conflicts. Sperry embraced the emerging field of electrical engineering, seeing alternating current power systems as the future of industrial technology. Norden distrusted electricity, preferring mechanical solutions that he could understand completely through direct observation. This technical conservatism would later create significant problems in his bomb sight designs. Norden would resign from Sperry Gyroscope repeatedly, only to return the next morning as if nothing had happened. This pattern continued for 4 years until 1915, when Sperry offered him what Norden considered an insulting $25 weekly raise in recognition of his contributions to naval gyro stabilization. The amount itself wasn't the issue. Norden interpreted the modest raise as evidence that Sperry didn't truly appreciate the revolutionary nature of his engineering contributions. Norden quit permanently, dismissing Sperry's company as having no future. He told colleagues that Sperry lacked the vision to understand the broader implications of gyroscopic technology. In Norden's view, gyroscopes could revolutionize not just naval gunnery, but aviation, navigation, and precision manufacturing. Sperry was thinking too small. The break launched one of the most bitter feuds in American engineering history. Norden often told people that Sperry would patent gravity if he could, mocking his former employer's commercial focus. Sperry spent years challenging Norden's patents in court, claiming that innovations developed at Sperry Gyroscope remained company property regardless of who conceived them. The animosity between these two brilliant men would shape American bomb sight development for the next 3 decades. Norden established his own consulting company near the Brooklyn Navy Yard in 1913, continuing work on ship stabilization projects for the United States Navy. His reputation for solving seemingly impossible mechanical problems grew within naval circles. Officers who had worked with him at Sperry became his strongest advocates, praising his ability to translate theoretical principles into practical hardware. The Navy's confidence in Norden's abilities was validated by his early consulting projects. He developed improved torpedo gyroscopes that significantly increased accuracy. His ship stabilization systems reduced gun platform motion by over 60% compared to earlier designs. Most importantly, he demonstrated the ability to deliver working hardware on schedule and within budget, rare qualities in military contracting. When America entered World War I, the Navy put Norden's genius to work on even more ambitious projects. He designed catapults and arresting gear for the Navy's first aircraft carriers. The arresting gear for USS Lexington and USS Saratoga were designed by Norden himself on his dining room table, using hand calculations that filled hundreds of pages with mathematical formulas and mechanical drawings. The Carrier Arresting Gear project showcased Norden's unique engineering approach. Rather than adapting existing designs, he analyzed the fundamental physics of aircraft deceleration and developed entirely new mechanical principles. His arresting gear could stop aircraft weighing thousands of pounds from landing speeds exceeding 60 miles per hour within distances of less than 100 feet. The system's reliability and safety margin exceeded Navy specifications by substantial margins. He also worked on an early guided missile project, the FB-1, a radio-controlled flying bomb launched by catapult that would shed its wings in flight and become a precision weapon. The FB-1 represented Norden's first serious attempt to apply precision guidance technology to aerial warfare. Although the project was cancelled before completion, it established his reputation as an innovator willing to explore revolutionary concepts. But it was General Billy Mitchell's bombing demonstrations in 1921 that set Norden on the path to his greatest achievement. Mitchell's airmen sank the captured German battleship Ostfriesland using 65 bombs aimed at the huge, motionless target. The demonstration convinced military planners that precision strategic bombing could revolutionize warfare, eliminating the need for costly ground campaigns by destroying an enemy's industrial capacity from the air. The Mitchell demonstrations revealed both the potential and limitations of aerial bombing. While the tests proved that aircraft could sink heavily armored warships, they also highlighted the enormous ammunition expenditure required. 65 bombs to sink one stationary target suggested that existing bombing accuracy was woefully inadequate for practical military operations. Military strategists began developing doctrine based on precision bombing assumptions. Rather than the mass infantry assaults that had characterized World War I, future conflicts would be decided by surgically precise attacks on enemy industrial centers. Bombers would destroy factories, power plants, and transportation networks while avoiding civilian casualties through pinpoint accuracy. The problem was accuracy. Existing bomb sites were primitive affairs, little better than guesswork. Most consisted of simple crosshairs mounted on basic telescopes, with manual wind drift calculations performed by bombardiers using slide rules and timing tables. Bombs dropped from 20,000 feet had to be released approximately 2.5 miles from the target to compensate for the aircraft's forward motion and the bomb's ballistic trajectory. Calculating the precise release point required accounting for aircraft speed, altitude, wind direction and velocity, air resistance, bomb weight, and aerodynamics, and local gravitational variations. These calculations had to be performed in real time by bombardiers operating under combat conditions from unstable aircraft platforms. The mathematical complexity exceeded human capabilities even under ideal circumstances. The Navy's Bureau of Ordnance recognized that precision bombing required a revolutionary bomb sight. In 1920, they turned to Carl Norden, the difficult Dutch engineer whose expertise with gyroscopic stabilization had already impressed naval personnel through his work on the aerial torpedo project. What the Navy asked seemed impossible. They wanted a bomb sight that could hit moving targets from high altitude while compensating for all the variables that affected bombing accuracy. Most experts believed such precision was theoretically impossible. The bombardier would need to calculate trajectories in real time while operating from an unstable platform buffeted by turbulence and enemy fire. Military engineers had attempted similar projects for decades without success. The mathematical requirements alone challenged the limits of mechanical computation. Creating a device that could perform complex trigonometric calculations using gears, levers, and rotating mechanisms seemed like engineering fantasy. Norden's response was characteristically confident. He would create a bomb sight that combined three revolutionary technologies. First, a gyroscopically stabilized platform that would remain level regardless of aircraft movement. Second, an analog computer that would continuously calculate the bomb's impact point based on changing flight conditions. Third, an autopilot connection that would allow the bomb sight to actually fly the aircraft during the bombing run, ensuring perfect stability at the critical moment. No one had ever attempted to integrate these technologies into a single system. Most engineers considered the project hopeless. The mechanical complexity would create thousands of potential failure points. The manufacturing tolerances required exceeded existing industrial capabilities. The cost would be astronomical compared to simple bomb sites already in service. Norden was undeterred. He believed Providence had ordained him to solve this problem. His religious conviction provided psychological sustenance during the long years of development that followed. When technical obstacles seemed insurmountable, he interpreted them as divine tests of his dedication, rather than evidence of impossible requirements. The first prototype appeared in 1923. It was a crude device that worked only under perfect conditions against stationary targets. The Navy was unimpressed. During early tests at Naval Air Station Anacostia, the bomb sight failed to hit targets larger than battleships from altitudes above 10,000 feet. Wind calculations proved inaccurate. The gyroscopic platform drifted off level during flight. Most critically, the mechanical computer couldn't handle the complex trigonometric calculations required for moving targets. But Norden persevered, driven by his absolute conviction that Providence had ordained him to solve this problem. He worked 18-hour days in his Brooklyn workshop, refining the design through countless iterations. His approach was methodical to the point of obsession. Every gear was hand-machined to tolerances measured in thousandths of inches. Every gyroscope was individually balanced and calibrated. He personally tested each component hundreds of times before approving it for production. The technical challenges seemed insurmountable. The bomb sight needed to solve differential equations in real time using purely mechanical components. It had to compensate for aircraft velocity, wind drift, bomb ballistics, target movement, and atmospheric conditions, while operating from an unstable platform subject to turbulence and combat maneuvers. No mechanical device had ever attempted such complex calculations under such demanding conditions. Norden's breakthrough came in 1925 when he developed a revolutionary synchronous mechanism that could track targets automatically. The system used a motor-driven mirror in the telescope to cancel out the apparent motion of targets below. By adjusting the motor's speed to match the aircraft's ground velocity, the bombardier could keep targets centered in his crosshairs throughout the bombing run. This innovation eliminated the timing errors that plagued earlier bomb sites. He enlisted the help of engineer Theodore Harold Barth, a former Army colonel who provided valuable sales expertise, and Lieutenant Commander Frederick Entwistle from the Navy's Bureau of Ordnance. Barth proved particularly crucial to the project's success. While Norden focused obsessively on technical perfection, Barth handled the equally important tasks of military politics and contract negotiations. Barth understood that military procurement involved more than technical superiority. Successful contractors needed to cultivate relationships with key officers, demonstrate reliability in meeting delivery schedules, and maintain security protocols that satisfied intelligence requirements. His experience as an Army officer provided insights into military culture that Norden completely lacked. Year after year, Norden improved the bomb sight's accuracy and reliability. Each iteration incorporated lessons learned from previous failures. The Mark the 11th version, completed in 1928, achieved 50% better accuracy than existing bomb sights during controlled testing. In 1928, he and Barth received their first production order from the Navy for 40 bomb sights. The following year they incorporated as Carl L. Norden Company. By 1931, Norden had completed his masterpiece, the Mark 15 bomb sight. Lieutenant Frederick Entwistle, the Navy's chief of bomb sight development, called it revolutionary. The device weighed 50 pounds and contained over 2,000 precision parts, including gyroscopes, motors, gears, mirrors, and levers. It was essentially a mechanical analog computer more complex than anything previously attempted. The bomb sight's internal mechanisms were marvels of precision engineering. The main gyroscope spun at 7,200 revolutions per minute, stabilized by bearings machined to tolerances of 1/10,000th of an inch. The optical system incorporated prisms and mirrors that had to be aligned within seconds of arc. The mechanical computer used gear trains with ratios calculated to 15 decimal places. The bomb sight's operation was elegantly simple in concept, but devilishly complex in execution. The bombardier would enter wind speed, aircraft altitude, direction, and airspeed into the mechanical computer, using precisely calibrated dials and levers. The analog computer would then calculate the trajectory required for the bombs, while accounting for all variables affecting their flight path. During the bombing run, the bombardier would acquire the target through the bomb site's 20-power telescope and activate the autopilot connection. The bomb site would then fly the aircraft, making continuous adjustments to maintain the precise course needed for accurate bombing. At the calculated release point, the computer would automatically trigger bomb release. Under perfect conditions, the system promised unprecedented accuracy. Test flights at Muroc Dry Lake in California demonstrated that bombardiers could consistently place bombs within 50 feet of practice targets from 20,000 feet altitude. These results were enthusiastically described as pickle barrel accuracy by Navy officials eager to promote their investment in the revolutionary technology. The testing program revealed the bomb site's remarkable capabilities under ideal conditions. On clear days with minimal wind, experienced bombardiers could achieve circular errors of less than 75 feet, from altitudes exceeding 20,000 feet. These results exceeded the performance of any existing bomb site by orders of magnitude. But Norden's perfectionism created significant problems that would plague the bomb site throughout its service life. Like Thomas Edison, he distrusted alternating current electricity, insisting on direct current motors with their troublesome carbon brushes that wore out quickly and left dust throughout the device's interior. His aversion to the emerging field of electronics led him to rely on mechanical solutions that were slower, more complex, and less reliable than electronic alternatives. Most critically, the bomb site's gyroscopic platform had to be manually leveled before each use using spirit levels, a process that could take up to 8 minutes under ideal conditions. If the aircraft banked too far during flight, the gyroscopes would reach their limits and have to be reset from scratch. Combat conditions made such precise procedures nearly impossible. The leveling procedure required the aircraft to remain absolutely stationary, while the bombardier carefully adjusted multiple spirit levels to achieve perfect horizontal alignment. Any movement during this process would introduce errors that could result in bombing inaccuracy measured in hundreds of yards. Combat conditions rarely provided the stable conditions necessary for proper bomb site preparation. Despite these limitations, the Mark 15 was so superior to existing bomb sites that the Navy ordered it into production. In 1932, the Army Air Corps acquired its first Norden bomb site, designating it the M1, the device that would define American strategic bombing doctrine for the next 15 years was born. But even as production began, Norden faced growing competition from his old nemesis, Elmer Sperry. The Army, frustrated with supply problems and reliability issues with the Norden, contracted with Sperry Gyroscope to develop an alternative. By 1937, Sperry had introduced significant improvements, including alternating current-powered gyroscopes spinning at 30,000 RPM compared to the Norden's 7,200, automatic platform leveling, and simplified maintenance procedures. The Sperry S-1 bomb site promised to be superior to the Norden in every measurable way. It was lighter, more reliable, easier to maintain, and could be manufactured at lower cost. Most importantly, it eliminated the time-consuming manual leveling procedure that made the Norden impractical under combat conditions. Sperry's engineers had learned from Norden's mistakes. They embraced electronic control systems that provided faster response times and greater reliability. Their automatic leveling system could prepare the bomb site for operation in less than 2 minutes, compared to the Norden's 8-minute requirement. The AC-powered gyroscopes operated at much higher speeds, providing superior stability and accuracy. But by then, Norden's head start and Theodore Barth's promotional genius had entrenched the company's position with military procurement officials. The Norden bomb site had become more than a piece of equipment. It had become a symbol of American technological superiority, backed by influential officers who had invested their careers in its success. The publicity campaign that transformed the Norden into a legend began with a single, brilliant marketing claim. Company executives boasted that their bomb sight could drop a bomb into a pickle barrel from 20,000 feet. The claim was mathematically absurd. From that altitude, a pickle barrel would be completely obscured by the bomb sight's crosshairs. But the image captured the public imagination. The pickle barrel claim became a powerful metaphor for American precision and technological advancement. Newspapers and magazines repeated the story uncritically, often embellishing it with additional details about the bomb sight's supposed capabilities. By 1940, most Americans believed that their air forces possessed a secret weapon capable of surgically precise attacks that could destroy enemy targets without harming innocent civilians. Theodore Barth proved to be a master of military marketing. He cultivated a top-secret mystique around the bomb sight that persisted even after its classification was reduced from confidential to restricted in 1941. Security protocols were deliberately elaborate and theatrical. The bomb sight's upper section, dubbed the football, was removed from aircraft after each mission and escorted by armed guards to secure storage vaults. These security measures served propaganda purposes as much as intelligence protection. The elaborate protocols convinced military personnel and civilians that the bomb sight represented a technological advantage so valuable that extraordinary measures were necessary to protect it. The mystique surrounding the device became part of its tactical value. Barth organized publicity events that reinforced the bomb sight's legendary reputation. In 1943, Norden Company rented Madison Square Garden and staged demonstrations between Ringling Brothers circus performances. Their show involved dropping wooden bombs into pickle barrels, while audiences gasped at the precision. These theatrical displays helped maintain public confidence in strategic bombing effectiveness. Bombardier trainees were required to swear an oath to protect the secrecy of the American bomb sight, if need be with my life itself. They were initially instructed to destroy the device by shooting it with their pistols if capture seemed imminent. Later, incendiary devices were provided to melt the bomb sight into useless metal. The oath-taking ceremony was designed for maximum psychological impact. Trainees gathered in secure facilities where senior officers emphasized the bomb sight's strategic importance to American war efforts. The formal language and solemn atmosphere reinforced the impression that bombardiers were being entrusted with America's most precious military secret. The security measures were largely meaningless. By 1940, a German spy named Hermann Lang, who worked at Norden's factory, had already provided complete technical details to German intelligence. Lang, a 19-year-old German engineer who immigrated to the United States in 1927, had memorized the bomb sight's design and reproduced it from memory during a vacation to Germany in 1938. He received $3,000 for his efforts. Lang's espionage operation was part of the largest German spy ring successfully operating in the United States during this period. Known as the Duquesne spy ring after its leader Fritz Duquesne, the network included 33 agents who gathered intelligence on American military technology and industrial capabilities. Lang's position at the Norden factory made him one of their most valuable assets. The spy ring operated for several years before being discovered by FBI counterintelligence agents in 1941. Lang and his Confederates had provided German intelligence with detailed information about American aircraft production, radar development, and military planning in addition to the bomb sight specifications. Their arrest and prosecution became a major propaganda victory for American law enforcement. The Germans were unimpressed with the stolen bomb sight plans. Their evaluation concluded that the Norden bomb sight was too complex for their operational requirements. The Luftwaffe never developed a long-range strategic bombing force, and therefore had no need for such a sophisticated device. German bombing doctrine emphasized tactical support for ground forces rather than strategic attacks on enemy industry. German engineers noted that the Norden's mechanical complexity would create maintenance problems under combat conditions. They preferred simpler bomb sights that could be repaired by field technicians using basic tools. The German Luftfernrohr 7 bomb sight, developed by Carl Zeiss, provided comparable accuracy while being much easier to manufacture and maintain. The irony was lost on American officials who continued treating the bomb sight as if its secrecy was crucial to national security. Security protocols remained elaborate throughout the war, despite clear evidence that foreign intelligence services possessed complete technical details. Meanwhile, actual combat results proved disappointing. When the 8th Air Force began precision daylight bombing campaigns from England in 1942, accuracy fell far short of peacetime demonstrations. Weather over Europe was frequently cloudy, obscuring targets. German flak and fighters disrupted bombing runs. Turbulence, evasive maneuvers, and combat stress degraded the bomb site's performance. The European theater presented conditions vastly different from the clear skies and calm conditions used for bomb site testing in California and Florida. Cloud cover obscured targets on over 60% of missions. Bomber formations had to maintain tight defensive positioning that prevented individual bombardiers from making independent aiming adjustments. Most critically, German fighter attacks forced evasive maneuvers that disrupted the stable flight paths necessary for accurate bombing. Combat missions revealed fundamental flaws in the precision bombing concept. Enemy targets were heavily defended, forcing bombers to operate under conditions that made precise aiming nearly impossible. Flak bursts created turbulence that threw aircraft off course. Fighter attacks required immediate evasive action that disrupted bombing runs. Smoke and fires from previous attacks often obscured target areas. By 1944, the average circular error for 8th Air Force bombing was 400 feet from 15,000 feet altitude, not 15 feet from 30,000 feet, as Barth had claimed. Even under ideal conditions, only 24% of bombs fell within 1,000 yards of their targets. This figure rose to 40% within 500 yards by late 1944, but it was still far from the pickle-barrel accuracy promised in peacetime. These accuracy figures were considered classified information throughout the war. Public statements continued to emphasize the bomb site's precision capabilities while avoiding specific performance data. Military censors prevented journalists from reporting bombing results that might undermine public confidence in strategic bombing effectiveness. The reality of strategic bombing forced tactical adaptations that undermined the Norden's theoretical advantages. To survive German defenses, bombers flew in tight formations that relied on lead bombardiers. Only the lead aircraft used its Norden bomb sight to aim. The rest of the formation dropped their bombs when they saw the leader's bombs fall. This technique, called pattern bombing, was effective for destroying large-area targets, but eliminated the precision bombing doctrine that had justified the bomb site's development. Pattern bombing essentially converted precision bombing into area bombing. Instead of individual aircraft making independent attacks on specific targets, entire formations carpet-bombed large areas surrounding the intended target. This approach was more effective against dispersed industrial complexes, but resulted in extensive collateral damage to surrounding civilian areas. Air Force leaders privately acknowledged that strategic bombing success depended more on overwhelming numbers than precision accuracy. The combined bomber offensive succeeded in disrupting German war production, but through area bombing of industrial cities rather than the surgical strikes originally envisioned. Yet the Norden bomb site's legend continued to grow. Carl Norden himself remained obsessively committed to improving his creation. Navy personnel called him Old Man Dynamite because of his difficult personality. He was described as self-centered, impatient, domineering, driven, abrasive, a perfectionist, and of the highest ethical standards. Norden saw his work as divinely inspired. He often told colleagues that Providence demanded he solve particular engineering problems. His name didn't even appear on the patent for his most advanced bomb sight because he believed only God could truly invent. This religious conviction sustained him through decades of technical challenges and commercial setbacks. His religious beliefs influenced every aspect of his engineering philosophy. He viewed mechanical devices as manifestations of divine mathematical principles, Perfect engineering required understanding and implementing these principles with absolute precision. Any compromise or shortcut represented a failure to honor the divine nature of mechanical truth. The bomb sight that emerged from Norden's obsessive perfectionism was a mechanical marvel. Each unit required skilled craftsmen months to assemble and calibrate. The gyroscopes alone were precision instruments that had to be balanced to tolerances measured in fractions of ounces. The optical system used lenses ground to specifications that challenged the limits of 1930s manufacturing technology. Production scaled up dramatically during World War II. By 1945, American factories had produced nearly 90,000 Norden bomb sights at a total cost of $1.1 billion. To put this expense in perspective, the Manhattan Project cost $2.2 billion. The United States spent half as much on a mechanical bomb sight as on developing atomic weapons. The massive production effort required creating entirely new manufacturing capabilities. Norden's insistence on precision tolerances meant that many components had to be hand-finished by skilled machinists. Assembly required workers trained in techniques developed specifically for bomb sight production. Quality control procedures were more stringent than those used for aircraft engines or other complex military equipment. The investment reflected the bomb sight's strategic importance to American war planning. Daylight precision bombing had become the foundation of Army Air Force's doctrine. Bomber crews trained extensively on the Norden, learning to operate its complex mechanisms under combat conditions. The device's theoretical capabilities shaped aircraft design, mission planning, and target selection throughout the war. But the Norden's greatest impact may have been psychological rather than tactical. For American crews, the bomb sight represented technological superiority over their enemies. It provided confidence that their mission served precise strategic objectives rather than random destruction. The belief that they could surgically destroy military targets while sparing civilians helped maintain morale during the devastating bomber offensive over Europe. This psychological impact extended beyond individual crew members to encompass entire military organizations. The bomb sight's reputation for precision accuracy reinforced institutional beliefs about American technological advancement and moral superiority. These beliefs influenced strategic planning and tactical doctrine throughout the war. The bomb sight also served crucial propaganda purposes on the home front. Its reputation for precision accuracy supported the narrative that American strategic bombing was morally superior to German terror bombing of British cities. The pickle barrel claim became a symbol of American technological prowess and manufacturing capability. Domestic propaganda emphasized the bomb sight's humanitarian potential. Media coverage suggested that precision bombing could win the war while minimizing civilian casualties. This narrative helped maintain public support for strategic bombing campaigns that might otherwise have been controversial. This propaganda value reached its climax in August 1945, when Major Thomas Farraby used a Norden bomb sight to aim the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The device that had promised to make conventional bombing humane instead guided the most inhumane weapon ever created. The irony was profound. Carl Norden had devoted his career to precision bombing partly for humanitarian reasons, believing that accurate weapons would reduce civilian casualties. The Hiroshima mission represented the ultimate test of bomb sight accuracy under combat conditions. Major Farraby successfully delivered the atomic bomb within 600 feet of the intended aiming point, the Aioi Bridge in central Hiroshima. By the standards of conventional bombing, this represented exceptional accuracy, but the atomic bomb's destructive radius made such precision irrelevant. The atomic bombings revealed the fundamental flaw in precision bombing doctrine. Military and industrial targets were typically located within populated areas. No bomb sight, however accurate, could destroy war-making capacity without causing civilian casualties. The Norden's precision was ultimately irrelevant, because the targets themselves made discrimination impossible. Post-war analysis confirmed that conventional strategic bombing had succeeded through cumulative damage rather than precision strikes. The combined bomber offensive disrupted German production by destroying transportation networks, power grids, and worker housing rather than specific factory buildings. Area bombing proved more effective than the precision bombing doctrine that had justified the Norden's development. The bomb site's technical limitations became apparent only after the war, when previously classified performance data was released. Combat accuracy averaged 400 feet circular error from 15,000 feet under good conditions. In poor weather or heavy opposition, accuracy degraded to over 1,000 feet. These figures were respectable for mechanical technology, but far from the miraculous precision claimed by company marketing. More damaging were revelations about alternative bomb sites that had been suppressed during the war. The British developed highly effective radar bombing systems that could operate in any weather. The Germans created optical bomb sites that performed comparably to the Norden at a fraction of the cost and complexity. Even the Sperry S-1, which equipped many American B-24 bombers, demonstrated superior reliability and easier maintenance. Carl Norden retired immediately after the war, moving to Switzerland to avoid publicity about his creation's role in the atomic bombings. He lived quietly until his death in 1965, maintaining his belief that Providence had guided his work. To the end, he viewed the bomb sight as a divine instrument for reducing the horrors of war through precision targeting. His retirement to Switzerland reflected his discomfort with the bomb site's military applications. He had genuinely believed that precision bombing would reduce warfare's destructive impact by enabling surgical strikes against military targets. The reality of strategic bombing, culminating in atomic warfare, contradicted everything he had hoped to achieve. The Norden bomb site continued in military service long after its strategic importance had ended. Korean War bomber crews used World War II vintage bomb sites because newer radar systems lacked sufficient accuracy for conventional weapons. The last combat use occurred in 1967, when Navy Squadron VO-67 used Norden bomb sites to drop sensors on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. By then, precision bombing had been revolutionized by guided munitions that made mechanical bomb sites obsolete. Laser-guided bombs and GPS-guided weapons could achieve accuracies measured in feet rather than hundreds of feet. The precision that had eluded Carl Norden despite decades of obsessive effort was finally achieved through technologies he had dismissed as impractical. The Norden bomb site's legacy extends far beyond its tactical effectiveness. It represented the intersection of individual genius and institutional needs that characterized American technological development during World War II. One man's obsessive perfectionism, channeled through military requirements and corporate marketing, created a device that shaped strategic doctrine and influenced global conflict. The bomb site also demonstrated the power of perception in military affairs. Its reputation for accuracy, largely the product of skillful propaganda, provided strategic benefits that exceeded its actual capabilities. The belief in American technological superiority helped sustain public support for strategic bombing campaigns that defined the war's outcome. Most importantly, the Norden bomb site illustrated the complex relationship between technological innovation and moral responsibility. Carl Norden genuinely believed he was creating a humanitarian weapon that would make warfare more precise and less destructive. Instead, his device enabled strategic bombing campaigns that killed hundreds of thousands of civilians and culminated in atomic warfare. The paradox reflects broader questions about technological determinism and human agency. Did the bomb site's existence make strategic bombing inevitable? Or did strategic bombing requirements drive bomb site development? Did Carl Norden's personal obsessions shape military doctrine? Or did institutional needs create the demand for his innovations? Perhaps the most revealing aspect of the Norden bomb site story is how a technically flawed device achieved legendary status through effective marketing and institutional momentum. The gap between promised and actual performance was enormous, yet the bomb site's reputation for precision accuracy persisted decades after contrary evidence became available. This disconnect between perception and reality reflects broader patterns in military procurement and technological development. Complex weapons systems often acquire political and symbolic importance that transcends their operational effectiveness. The investment in development creates institutional incentives to continue production regardless of performance limitations. The Norden bomb site represents the triumph of individual obsession over institutional rationality. One man's uncompromising pursuit of mechanical perfection created a device that dominated American strategic bombing for 25 years, despite superior alternatives. Carl Norden's personality flaws, technical prejudices, and religious convictions shaped weapons procurement decisions that affected millions of lives. In the end, the bomb site's greatest achievement may have been enabling the psychological conditions that made strategic bombing possible. By promising precision targeting, it allowed air crews and civilian leaders to believe they were conducting humane warfare, even while devastating entire cities. The pickle barrel that Carl Norden claimed he could hit from 20,000 feet turned out to be large enough to contain an entire civilization's illusions about the nature of modern warfare. That's how one obsessed scientist's dismissed theory created the most accurate bomb site of World War II, not through superior technology, but through superior marketing of an imperfect solution to an impossible problem. The revolution happened through the power of belief, the persistence of obsession, and the deadly intersection of individual genius with institutional needs in the crucible of global war.